The strangest stories are not always the product of writers' imagination. Sometimes reality turns out to be more mysterious than any myth. Today we will dive into the world of unsolved mysteries, where every clue is like a thread in a web leading to something incredible. Are you ready to look beyond the edge of reality and find out what lurks in the shadows of the unknown? What are the US authorities hiding? The Roswell story, not just a mystery rooted in the past. This is an event that forever changed our understanding of life in the universe. Summer of 1947, a ranch in New Mexico. An ordinary farmer, Mac Brazel, discovers unusual debris in his field, unlike anything he has ever seen. The local sheriff, the United States Army, everyone immediately arrives at the scene, the area is cordoned off, and an urgent cleanup begins. Initially, the military makes a sensational statement: "We have discovered a flying saucer." But the very next day, they retract their words, claiming it was just an ordinary weather balloon. But who believed them? It is at this moment that rumors begin to spread in the town, sending shivers down the spine. Not only mysterious metal was found, but also bodies of unusual beings. The press immediately picks up on all this, and the word Roswell becomes a symbol of UFOs and secrets hidden from prying eyes. Ufologists are convinced that an alien ship indeed crashed here. The wreckage and bodies were allegedly secretly transported to secret laboratories, the most famous of which became the legendary Area 51. Despite all the statements from officials and even the partial declassification of documents in the 90s, the questions only increased. The tomb of Tutankhamun, curse or coincidence? In 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter, along with Lord Carnarvon, unveiled a sensation before the eyes of the world: the burial chamber of the young pharaoh in the Valley of the Kings. The treasures hidden thousands of years ago astonished everyone, but the joy was short-lived. A series of mysterious deaths began. Just a couple of months after the tomb's discovery, Lord Carnarvon dies from a mosquito bite. From that moment, newspapers blare about the pharaoh's curse. One by one, members of the expedition, scientists, even Carnarvon's relatives, fall victim to strange coincidences. Mysterious illnesses, sudden tragedies, rumors, and fears engulf the entire world. Real events only fuel the myths. Like the fate of radiologist Arthur Mace, who was the first to X-ray Tutankhamun's mummy, he soon dies. His father also dies under mysterious circumstances. Skeptics say it's all just a coincidence, claiming that illnesses and stress are to blame. But fans of the mystical are convinced that this is the revenge of the ancient gods of Egypt. Modern scientists are searching for an explanation for this chain of deaths. Perhaps the cause is invisible fungal spores that waited for centuries in the sealed tomb for their moment. Or perhaps it's the power of suggestion and the pressure of a grand discovery? The mystery of the Roanoke colony. In the summer of 1585, Sir Walter Raleigh sends the first English expedition across the ocean to establish a colony in the New World. The first group of men lands on the shores of Roanoke Island, begins building a fort, and settles in anticipation of a great future. But the conditions turn out to be too harsh. Conflicts with local Native American tribes, a lack of provisions, and the constant threat of starvation quickly force the newcomers to give up and return to England. Only 2 years later does a second attempt occur. This time the mission is much more serious. A new group of colonists arrives at Roanoke along with families and children. Leading them is John White, not just a leader but also the governor of the colony. In August 1587, the first English child in America is born here, a girl named Virginia Dare, an event that was meant to be a symbol of new life and hope. Roanoke is located about 40 miles from the coast of present-day North Carolina. But even the birth of Virginia did not save the situation. The colonists faced the same problems: lack of food, hostility from local tribes, fear of the unknown. John White had to urgently return to England for help. He promised to return quickly, but fate decreed otherwise. The war with Spain delayed him for as long as 3 years. When White finally arrived at Roanoke in 1590, he was in for a complete shock. The colony had disappeared. Houses were abandoned, dishes left behind, no trace of people. The mysterious word Croatoan was carved into a tree, and on another, Cairo. This was the only clue to the disappearance. It was assumed that the colonists went to the nearby Croatoan island to friendly natives, but searches yielded no results. Some believe that the settlers fell victim to starvation or conflicts. Others are convinced they merged with the Native American tribes and blended in among them. The most mystical version suggests the influence of unknown forces that wiped the entire colony off the face of the earth. The Zodiac serial killer. Northern California, late 1960s. A peaceful life shatters into pieces. Brutal, frightening attacks begin to occur. Behind all this stands a figure shrouded in mystery and horror. a man who calls himself Zodiac, a name that became a true legend among the criminal stories of the 20th century. From 1968 to 1969, the police confirmed 7 attacks, 5 people died, and 2 were incredibly lucky to survive and tell the world about their encounter with the monster. But Zodiac himself claimed that there were many more victims, as many as 37. He chose his victims in the most deserted places, dark parking lots, secluded lake shores, romantic dates in cars. Zodiac didn't just kill, he toyed with society like a cat with a mouse. In the midst of a startled city, he sent letters directly to newspaper offices. Each contained encrypted messages, obscene threats, and horrifying fragments of victims' clothing as proof of his guilt. He demanded that his letters be printed on the front page, threatening new crimes otherwise. His cryptograms became particularly famous, especially the so-called Cipher 408 and the legendary Cipher 340. Deciphering the latter took over 50 years, and even when the result was obtained, the text turned out to be just another mockery, directed at the Zodiac hunters. The main suspect for a long time was mechanic Arthur Lee Allen, who was found with accessories bearing the Zodiac's signature symbol, a circle with a crossed-out cross. Later, other figures were proposed, and there was even a period when thousands of people were under suspicion, but there was no irrefutable evidence against any of them. The mystery of the killer remained unsolved despite unprecedented public resonance. The Zodiac became an integral part of American popular culture. His story was filmed by David Fincher, books are written about him, shows are made, and speculations are built on the internet. The Zodiac symbol, along with his audacious ciphers, still captivates the imagination of mystery and crime enthusiasts. The Abyss spoke. In 1997, the Pole Ocean spoke to humanity, and it did so in a way that scientists around the world are still baffled. The story of the legendary bloop phenomenon, or bulk in Russian, still intrigues seekers of the unexplained. Summer 1997, an American special agency launches a new program. Hydrophones are installed at great depths in the Pacific Ocean. Highly sensitive microphones to capture the voices of whales, the rumble of underwater eruptions, and earthquakes. Unexpectedly, devices from all over the ocean pick up something completely unique. A powerful low-frequency sound, so loud that it can be heard over a distance of more than 1218 miles. Scientists call it bloop, because this sound resembled the mysterious gurgling from the depths. From this moment, a true oceanic detective story begins. Initial theories: earthquake, volcanic eruption. But analysis shows that none of the known natural disasters sound like this. It gets more interesting. The boundless imagination of humanity adds fuel to the fire. The internet is filled with theories about mysterious giant creatures, squids, and sea monsters that no one has ever seen. Sounds fantastic? Of course. Some ufologists even point to possible signals from aliens or an alien base hidden at the bottom of the ocean. And only in 2005 does a special agency cautiously announce, perhaps these are just giant icebergs breaking off from Antarctic glaciers, falling into the water and creating that very infrasound. But this hypothesis did not convince everyone. The encrypted mysteries of the Voynich manuscript. This book is like a gateway to a medieval mystery, a puzzle that the best minds in the world have been grappling with for over 100 years. The Voynich manuscript is a manuscript capable of exciting the imagination of even the most seasoned cryptographer, mystic, or historian. Now you will learn why this ancient tome has become a symbol of an unsolved mystery and a coveted target for thousands of researchers. The story begins in 1912, when antiquarian Wilfrid Voynich, passionate about finding unique rarities, discovered an unusual manuscript among many books and manuscripts in one of the monasteries of Italy. The book seems completely ordinary for its time. Parchment pages, exquisite design, bright colors. But everything changes when the gaze stops on the text. It's not just a meaningless set of symbols. It's a language absent from any known grammar. Unknown letters, unusual combinations, a lively structure. All of this seems to say, solve me if you can. On 250 pages of the manuscript, there are detailed images of exotic plants, many of which are not found in nature, intricate diagrams, mysterious constellations, and naked women bathing in unusual baths. The further you turn the pages, the stronger the sense of mystery. Voynich turns to the best cryptographers of his time. Decipher it. But the manuscript does not yield to any known method of analysis. There are many theories. Some believe it is an alchemical treatise where recipes for creating gold and the elixir of immortality are hidden. Others lean towards a medical manual, while fans of mysticism whisper that before us is a cipher intended for the initiated, or even an alchemical joke created to deceive the curious. The complexity only heightens the interest. Every new hypothesis immediately becomes surrounded by rumors and conspiracy theories. In 2009, scientists using radiocarbon analysis finally accurately date the manuscript to the early 15th century. We are definitely looking at a genuine medieval artifact, not a skillful forgery. But there is no answer to the main question. What is hidden in these lines and images? Today, entire teams are working on deciphering the mystery. Artificial intelligence, neural networks, linguists, cryptanalysts. In 2018, a new theory emerged. Perhaps the strange symbols conceal a rare encrypted language where each combination is a key to secret knowledge. The vanished crew of the Mary Celeste. We move to 1872, when the merchant brigantine Mary Celeste set sail from New York to Italy with a high-quality cargo of 1 to 700 barrels of denatured alcohol. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia Matilda, and a crew of 7. It was supposed to be a routine voyage, but it became the beginning of one of the strangest stories in maritime history. We move to 1872, when the merchant brigantine Mary Celeste set sail from New York to Italy. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia Matilda, and a crew of 7. It was supposed to be a routine voyage, but it became the beginning of one of the strangest stories in maritime history. On December 5th, just a month after setting sail, the Mary Celeste was found adrift in the Atlantic Ocean, approximately 400 miles from Gibraltar. The British schooner Dei Gratia, commanded by Captain David Morehouse, boarded, and what they discovered shocked the entire world. The ship was completely empty. Where were the Briggs family and their crew? The vessel was in good condition, the sails were billowing in the wind, the cargo remained untouched, and the crew's personal belongings were in their places. On the table in the captain's cabin there was uneaten food, and in the galley embers were still smoldering. Everything indicated that the people had left the ship suddenly and in a hurry. However, there were no signs of struggle or violence. The strangest thing was that the lifeboat, which the crew members were presumed to have boarded, was missing. The investigation conducted by the authorities of both the United Kingdom and the United States did not provide answers to all the questions about the crew's fate. Theories began to multiply. Some claimed that the Mary Celeste might have fallen victim to pirates who killed the crew and stole the lifeboat. Others believed that the crew abandoned the ship due to a leak of toxic gas emitted from the alcohol, which could have caused panic and hallucinations. Each new hypothesis only added intrigue to this mystery. The idea that Captain Briggs and his crew might have fallen victim to a sea monster became particularly popular, or some mysterious natural phenomenon. Researchers proposed the theory that a powerful wave could have swept the people overboard, leaving no trace. But none of these hypotheses could explain all the oddities and inconsistencies in this unusual case. The mystery of the Dyatlov Pass, February 1959. In February 1959, 10 brave tourists from the Ural Polytechnic Institute decided to go on a ski trip through the northern Urals. It was supposed to be an exciting winter adventure, but instead it turned into a real tragedy, the consequences of which continue to haunt the minds of many researchers. To this day, the group, led by the experienced hiker Igor Dyatlov, consisted of 9 students and 1 graduate. All of them had experience in mountaineering and ski trips, so they hoped for a successful completion of the route through the pass. The expedition began on January 23rd, and everything was going according to plan until January 28th. On this day, one of the participants, Yuri Yudin, felt unwell and decided to return home. The remaining 9 continued on, planning to set up camp on the mountain, Kolat Shachel, which translates from the Mansi language as Dead Mountain. The night of February 1st to 2nd became fatal. The tourists fled the tent in panic, leaving all their equipment and clothing behind. They cut the tent from the inside, which raised many questions. What could have frightened them so much? The rescue teams found the tent only on February 26th. Personal belongings were left inside, but there were no people. The bodies of the group members were found at various distances from the tent. The first 5 bodies were discovered at the end of February and the beginning of March, while the remaining 4 were found only in May, when the snow began to melt. The circumstances of their deaths turned out to be shocking. Some were partially undressed, while others had serious injuries, including rib and skull fractures. Particular attention was drawn to the body of Lyudmila Dubinina, who was missing her eyes and tongue. The investigation conducted by Soviet authorities could not clarify the questions about the causes of the tourists' deaths. Several theories were proposed, including a military aircraft accident, an attack by wild animals, and an avalanche, and even the intervention of alien forces. However, none of them could explain all the details of the tragedy. Over time, the Dyatlov Pass became a true legend, inspiring writers, filmmakers, and researchers. The bottomless well of crypto. Crypto on Oak Island. The mysterious well on the island has been holding secrets for 2 centuries. Treasures, traps, disappearing artifacts. On Oak Island, located off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, there is a mysterious well known as Crypto. This well, about 98.4 feet deep, has become the subject of numerous legends and theories. It is believed to have been holding secrets for 2 centuries, and its mysteries remain unsolved to this day. The story of Crypto began in the late 18th century when locals discovered a strange water-filled well. Soon, rumors began to circulate that treasures were hidden in the well, possibly belonging to pirates or the Templars. These rumors attracted the attention of adventurers and treasure hunters who started exploring the well. However, all attempts to reach the bottom of the well were unsuccessful. The well turned out to be filled with traps, underwater tunnels, flooded chambers, and even mechanisms that blocked access to the lower levels. Many explorers died or were injured trying to unravel the mystery of the crypt. Over the years, many legends have arisen around the crypt. There were talks of a curse placed on the well and spirits guarding its treasures. Despite all efforts, the mystery of the crypt remains unsolved. Modern technologies and research methods give hope that someday it will be possible to reach the bottom of the well and uncover its secrets. Test yourself as a detective. And which version do you choose? Write in the comments. Perhaps your theory will be the key to solving the mystery. If you love mysteries, give a like and subscribe. There are many more unsolved mysteries ahead. After all, the most interesting part is just beginning.